Hey there guys, welcome back to Nagali Park. This is episode 3. We are almost a real series, which is kind of amazing. If we can get past this one, then we are officially a real series. And then I can just stop making videos and we can just call this thing done. I kid, of course. Today we are going to focus on this area, and I know, yeah, doesn't look great. Let's look back at this area, because ooh, it's all done, it's so pretty. Ooh, yeah, we gotta go back to this area. So NigloLand has a train. It is not a transport, it's more of a tour of the park. So I have followed suit. I have created a train, and it does what trains do. It goes on a track, and it goes all the way around, past this area, past the dragon area, ooh, and then to another area I can't show yet because that's Remnant's gift to me. We're just gonna avoid that. And then back through here, you can see it has the interaction between the car ride. And then that train ride goes all the way back up and around, connects with the path, comes to the back side of the park, and then comes down the front walkway here. This is definitely a vantage point I've directly stolen from the park. I love it. It was one of the first views that made me really appreciate this park and the scale of it, and just how close everything is, and just how nice it is. And so when you enter through this area, you can see that the train station is pretty much the first thing that you come in contact with as an attraction. And so it kind of has to have some pretty good prominence. So that is what I have here, is the path starts to turn down. You have this very slight kind of terrain change. You can kind of see it there. And then there, boom, train station. But you'll notice that it is small. It's small, and it is like right at the path level, and that is something that Planet Coaster does not like to do. So what I had to do with this particular train ride is sink it. I had to sink it into the ground to make sure that the platform stayed pretty close. I mean, you can see that there's still a discrepancy, and so that's where a little bit of concrete's going to come in handy. So while NigloLand has this kind of small, fairly generic, I mean, those are copper tiles, and that is copper, and a copper drainage system there. I didn't want to fully copy it. I always had a vision in this park to do something more like this, which combines a little bit more of the alpine kind of look. A very strong A-frame structure, and then I can steal that same kind of, with the wings on each side. I think it's going to turn out really nice. So you can see we're a little bit further along here. This is what I had in mind for that kind of A-frame structure. I think it works really nice. It kind of has pretty good presence, and it's really open too, which would be awesome if this particular ride was able to exit right here, and kind of use that, because I think if I look back at my image here, no, it actually does, it does exit from there as well. But I like what I've come up with, and I'm going to continue. Started messing with some of the landscaping in the back here too. Mostly shrubs at this point. There'll be a few trees, but to really get the look going here, they've got like a hedge across, and then a few trees here and there, pine tree, some flower beds over there. It's all really small, and I know that my scale is already off. This whole thing should be pushed up forward, but there's just, you can't, because of this problem right here. Because I had to bury this train in, I had to increase some of the scale. Bit of a push forward here. You can see that there's a new ride on the horizon. And when was it Classic Rides or was it Magnificent Rides? I think this Chairlift was Magnificent Rides, and I think the Gondola was Classic Rides. When that came out, it kind of opened up possibilities, because this train was never going to be a transport anyway. But I thought that it might be really cool to kind of break away from the NigloLand aesthetic a little bit, and do something that is strictly Nagali. You can see that I have developed and put a chairlift here, so when you enter this area, into the hub and everything like that. There's a big mass of people coming in. You have an option. You can take the tour, or you can actually get to the back of the park using the chairlift. And the chairlift, if you'll notice, it goes up and then it pretty much levels out. And then the park, basically the terrain is so gentle that it moves its way all the way up to the back here. And so it will always, the train won't ever run into it or anything like that. But by the time it actually gets up here, you're back at ground level. So even though you're maybe 50 feet above at this point, the park actually meets you because the terrain is sloping up ever so slightly up at the top here. In addition, the station is a lot further along than it was. This is the central station. I got a roof on it. I got some lighting on it. I've got the extensions done. I've got all of the railings done. Got a little more of the details done here. Some steps to get down. And I tried to keep it. I mean, the real train at NigloLand runs off of what I assume are batteries. It does not huff and puff smoke, so for the excuse that I want to give, just assume that this train is not belching steam, and so the coverage would be a lot safer, so that you don't have chairs going through. The aesthetic of this station, I don't really know. Probably something cutesy alpine, because the real park, I mean, it goes into this kind of back neighborhood area, which I am absolutely going to recreate because I think this is a really unique and weird part of this park, that it is so old that it was built right next to a neighborhood, and the park has continued to expand and become a business, but that neighborhood is still there. It is so freaking bizarre to me. Having grown up in America, there are always noise complaints when residents get involved. But yeah, the real park has a miniature golf course, which is wonderful and very cute, and I would love to put something in that park, but just not in this area. But yeah, I've got really no frame of reference for what the Skyride station is going to be, because it don't exist. Okay, we're a little further along. I've got the Skyride station moving now. I've got a queue set up. I've got some... Oh my god, this took forever to do. And sometimes the peeps get caught up. So this is probably why we don't see 2-meter paths in this game. They are currently using it as an exit, as you can see, and it's a very shallow kind of ramp. I ended up making a ruler out of some shapes, and then tried to do the 2-meter path method. You can see that they're just wobbling back and forth. Ay vey. Yeah, that's... I don't know. I like it for now. I may have to get rid of it, because there are sometimes when people just get clogged up on this, like when a janitor goes up here for some godforsaken reason. The whole thing just clogs up with hundreds of people. But anyway, on to brighter notes. I've got the station area done. I've cleaned up the platform. I've added the trees and the hedge and everything. A few vinyl tarps just for funsies. Yeah, I really like where this is headed. The other thing I wanted to say that I forgot to say in the last hour is that I have decided to put this chairlift right over the main path. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to avoid that exactly, I'm going to exclude using some barriers and probably put some planters in all the way up the main run here. But it basically bisects the park, which is really nice. On this side I have that little it was a planter, right? It's like a little brick planter. Yeah, there we go. Now obviously can't get that level of detail in our landscapes, so made do with what I had. A lot of different shapes and mostly the same palette, but I think it works. I think it works together. And here we go. That's what I'm talking about. That is a clogged path, if I've ever seen one. Pathfinding. So instead of fixing the pathfinding, they're just like, yeah, let's not make paths smaller than 13 feet. That'll fix it. Oh my god. Alright, there we are, we're fixed. Here we are on the Skyride station. So I've got a little queue area that's covered. It would be normally where most of the people would settle, but there is some overflow to get back to the front here. I've framed it out because I feel like that's kind of important in these wooden structures, is to actually build out the framing a little bit and try and not lose that detail. Because my personal bias is that I like to see things. I don't like to see the illusion fall apart. So if I'm going to have a place where I can get the camera in, I want to have interiors that they're not extreme, they're not super filled, they're not dense, but they are at least complete. So you don't have like roofs coming intersecting the walls and stuff like that. That's my own personal thing. I know other creators are like, no, screw that. I'm not doing all that work for the inside. But in this case, I am. I think I've kind of settled on this semi-Asian wood pattern. I don't even know what to call it. It's supposed to be more Swiss, but I am an American and I don't understand that form of architecture, so here we are. Semi-Asian mountain cover. Okay, hopefully that is looking a lot less Asian. With the scalloped roofs and everything, I think it's actually turning out quite nice. I've got a little ramp here, did some custom railings with that awesome TMTK beam. But the Skyride station is fairly simple. I wanted it to feel smaller than the actual platform, so I've kind of squinched all the buildings together. So you've got this queue building that kind of extends out, but then the actual main structure is fairly small, even though the pad is much larger. You can see that the pad stretches quite far. We'll hide it in with some trees and stuff like that. Hey, this is a good time to use some of these guys. Like this guy will do a lot of hiding, so let's take him over. If you didn't know what this is that non-TMTK custom tree kit that I released on the workshop. Thank you everybody that made this the #1 piece. It was really cool to see that it ended up beating out that really awesome crystal set that I need to download. But yeah, thank you so much. I really love the way this chairlift just kind of glides in. You kind of get... I mean, obviously, if this were a real park, there would... I don't know, people would want to probably throw things at the train. People are stupid. But if you just look at this in an aesthetic sort of way, it's like, ooh, you're just kind of gliding down. It's not a super scary ride. It's not like the other chairlifts I've been on. This one's just kind of gentle. You just kind of get right back down to earth. Ah, isn't that lovely? And hey, no people are clogging up the exit path right now. And here we are to the end of another episode. This is the completed Skyride station. A few little details. Tried to kind of cover up the operator's booth, but I also wanted them to have some viewing so that they could see if there's anything wrong on the car or on the Skyride. I also added this little cupola, which I really like. It's supposed to be like an oversized birdhouse, and the ride actually has a name too. I think it works. It's cute. It's cutesy. It's kind of dumb, but it's cutesy. And this is that weird penguin, that wooden penguin from Vintage. If you just take the black and white off of it, kind of looks like a robin or something like that. We've got a little queue entrance here. We've got a not really a write-up, but he just sits at the front, covered up those god-awful things that, please could we ever get rid of those? That would be so helpful. He's got a little umbrella to keep him out of the sun, even though he currently is in nothing but sun. Whatever. I've got my landscaping done in this area. Very simple. I've got this kind of overgrown creeper. I've got some of this hedge, and I'm utilizing some of that dead hedge piece, and also changed some of the coloring so it looks like it's dying in the center there. I've got some arborvitaes. Those were also in that kit that I explained earlier. And they just kind of make a nice little statement, very formal kind of lines. Very clean on the landscaping. I tried to keep it in series of greens, not too much color, not too much annual stuff. This adds so much movement to this area. I really like the way this came out. You've got two different architectural styles, but they somehow work together. I think it's just the scale of the buildings are just small enough that neither one kind of overpowers each other. This is definitely much more of a Nagali kind of entrance area. I did take some of the cues from the landscape and stuff like that, but I really wanted this to be unique, and I thought with the addition of the chairlift from Magnificent Rides, I thought that just adds so much. Now if we just keep looking at this angle, ooh, this angle's very nice and very cozy. Let's not talk about this angle. That's eventually going to become this. And it's gonna be less yellow for sure. I'm not a huge fan of the yellow going on, and really this kind of bunch of carts. I may take this idea and run with it. I'm really not sure. It just kind of makes this area a little messy. But yeah, looking back here, and then going into my park and taking a look at it. It's a little different, but it kind of gives you the same vibe. And I couldn't be happier with it. If you liked what you saw today, you know what to do. Next time on this park, I don't know what we're gonna work on. Maybe we work on this kind of entrance area a little bit more. Maybe I finally show you what Remnant was up to over in this Asian area. Maybe we can add that flying temple. I mean, there's a bunch of different things we could do. But I guess you're just gonna have to wait and see what strikes my fancy for episode 4. These are becoming regular things, so I really hope to see you there, and thank you for watching, and have an awesome day. Bye, guys.